Hello, welcome to another weekly video. Today I'm going to be talking about some problems a lot of people have in their marriage, and some of the struggles that we seem to have in common as people who are married. Um, I'm in a lot of like marriage groups on Facebook, and I like to watch a lot of different shows that focus on the dynamic of relationships, or I guess married relationships. How two people live together, or try to come together. Excuse me. I watch some things like Married at First Sight, and 90 Day Fiance. The people aren't married yet in that show, but um, they're kind of trying to combine their lives together, and I do feel like that's one of the hardest things to do when you get married. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about some of that stuff, especially since I've been through my own set of issues. I really don't like talking about marriage much because um, I've had a lot of issues with it myself, and I'm still struggling with it a lot, and so it's just kind of hard to talk about sometimes. Um, it could kind of just be like a sore spot, until you get to a certain point. But me and my husband struggle a lot with communication. I think that's what I wanted to focus the most on in this video. Um, we both seem to have issues with like, well, I guess I'll start with like some of the hardest things to deal with when you get married is trying to explain to your spouse what your boundaries are, and what bothers you. And unfortunately, it's not even really that simple. But I've seen things really escalate between me and my husband because we have these boundaries, and we just cross our boundaries um, without really being able to talk to the other person about it. I mean, so that's kind of what I would say is a big struggle with a lot of relationships I see. Um, we come from different backgrounds where, um, if you've ever had the thought, you just don't do this. I think we all have those areas, and the person that you end up being with, I mean, it doesn't matter who it is really, but when you live with somebody, that person will do a lot of the things that you grew up thinking you just don't do this to people. Um, you just don't say that. You just don't do this. Um, and that's why I call it boundaries. I mean, unfortunately, the person crosses the boundary they don't really realize they have, and it could be so hurtful to you that you just kind of explode. That tends to be a common issue with me and my husband. We try to approach each other with things that are bothering us, um, and we don't handle it well. We usually it's said in a way that you know could be better than when we first met. It could be better than it's ever been said to anybody, but it could be offensive the way that we receive it. So um, we just end up, you know, feeling more attacked when somebody comes to us and says, it really bothered me that you did this, or um, a lot of times I notice that sometimes we perceive things incorrectly because we were so hurt in the moment. Um, and it's really hard to sit there and say, yes, I contributed to this. I mean, when you're hurt, it's hard to say things like that. Um, I feel like the majority of, well, what I see with other people and what I've been through is, communications issues, like I said. And again, I mean, some of this can go back to like, what does God kind of want for you and your marriage. Excuse me. Um, I feel like what I've seen with a lot of people is that same kind of dynamic I'm talking about. Like they have issues with their spouse, but they can't talk about it because the other person will get so upset. And excuse me. Um, I've noticed that like there are things that happen. If you want to say before me and my husband met, there's some things that happened when we met um, that are just really are hard to bring up because, like I said, they can they could have a certain I could be looking at it a certain way, like I'm the victim, for example. If I have a perception of that and I try to approach my husband with it, it can be pretty offensive. Um, you know, basically like blaming. It could come out as blame. So so I think it a lot of times, and I think this is true for other people too. Um, a lot of times, if you don't talk about it, like you know, it's I guess what I'm trying to say is it's a problem either way, right? So if you talk about it, the person gets upset, but if you don't talk about it, it could cause an explosion somewhere else. And I've seen that with myself way too many times. You know, something happened in my childhood. I never got it resolved. You know, maybe it repeats with in my marriage, and I didn't get it resolved with that either. So then I end up doing the same thing that the person did to me that was like hurtful. Um, and so the cycle just kind of repeats itself. That's just one example, but um, it tends to, you know, go into the wrong place. Um, is what I really want to focus on with that. Like, if you can't communicate about what you really need to say, it can explode in an area. I mean, you may find yourself more upset if your spouse kicks off the covers and you know you wake up cold, you know, but that's maybe that's not really the issue. I mean, part of it probably is. I mean, you probably still need to talk about it, but um, you know, if something happened before that that you didn't feel like you could talk about, that issue is going to be a whole lot worse. So um, I'm just trying to break down some of the communication issues that I tend to see with myself and sometimes other people. I remember being in a marriage group the other day, and um, this girl, she had listed about 50 things that she had a problem with her husband. And of course, you know, a lot of it is, you know, if I try to talk to you about this, you'll get upset, so I can't talk to you about it. And you know, and then it just becomes another thing on the list. You know, she was talking about how she there were specific things that he was doing that she didn't like, but then she'd come back and say, "Oh well, you know, I can't tell you I don't like these things because you'll get upset and you'll feel rejected and stuff like that." Well, those kind of things are the things that kind of explode later into much worse. Um, and you know, I don't have a solution for it. I still struggle with it myself. I've seen myself do things because I didn't talk about it, and I felt very much like um, things were gonna explode if I tried to talk about it. And you know, honestly, when I look back now, it was a much worse explosion by not talking about it. But you know, I don't think that we realize we're all just ticking time bombs. Like we're all just about to step on a mine and explode, and we don't know where those are going to be. I mean, I don't even know until it happens. And you know, I mean, me and my husband have been through some really difficult things, and even now they're hard to talk about. You know, they're very sensitive, and but I think everybody in their relationships goes through those things. I think we handle it some ways better, sometimes better than others. But you know, it's just it's so hard to talk about things when traumatic things happen, and um, so you have to deal with those kind of things in your relationship too. But anyway, I just really wanted to talk about the issues I see in a lot of marriages, because it's hard to see other people suffer. It's hard to be suffering. And I just, I want things to be better for people, even if it's just trying to be aware of what our problems are. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I thank you for watching. Have a nice day.